And think about that idea of staying connected to the vine. Like we're the branches, he's the vine. It's like if you choose to stay connected so that literally you are drawing your life from my life. You're not seeking to separate yourself from me and try to find life other places. But if you stay connected to me, abide, remain in me, you are going to bear much fruit. But today we're going to switch from talking about the work necessary to cultivate the soil, and we're going to focus on the fruit that may come. To do that, I want us to look at another place that Jesus directly talks about the kind of fruit that he is wanting to see produced in our lives. So Jesus talking to his disciples, and this is found in John chapter 15. We're going to pick up in verse 1 and 2. We're going to skip 5 and 6, and then we'll look at a couple other verses in this section. John 15, 1 and 2, he says, I am the true vine. Again, talking about agriculture. I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit. You're fruitless. Expect the axe to fall. While every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. Then in verse 5 and 6, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me, and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If you do not remain in me, you're like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. Again, Jesus is stating here that he's going to do everything in his power to advance our fruitfulness. And in fact, he gives two specific things here that he mentions that I just want us to reflect on for a moment. He talks about pruning, and then he gives us a promise. Pruning and promise. Number one, pruning. Did you notice Jesus said, everyone gets cut. Everyone gets cut. He says, now those who are unfruitful, like you ain't producing no fruit at all in your life, you get the axe. Like literally you are cut off from access to me if you're unfruitful. Not going to end well for you. But then he says, even those who are fruitful, guess what? I'm going to prune you back as well. Wait, this is a fruitful area in my life. Chop. But wait, look, Jesus, look, there's some fruit here. And he says, I have more for you. Do you trust me to engage with you, even in a way that is going to trim back some things that you thought were fruitful, but they weren't as fruitful as it could be. So I'm going to do more trimming. Listen, just to go from 5% fruitfulness to 10% fruitfulness, it is going to require pruning. How much more if we want to go from 30 to 60 to 100-fold fruitfulness in our lives? If we want to be wildly fruitful, there's going to be some wild pruning that takes place in our lives. There's going to be some wild pruning that God's going to have to do in the heart of your pastor, in your marriage, in your life personally, in your relationships, in your finance. I don't know what God might require. I can look back in history and see what God pruned in Nikki's life, the Count. Pruning his estate by giving away land, putting his fortune and his own energies, becoming the spiritual leader of this band of believers. There's a lot of pruning that happened in that young man's life. But man, it was fruitful. So Jesus says, expect pruning. It's part of the process. But he also gave a promise. He said, if you abide in me, if you stay connected to me, and think about that idea of staying connected to the vine, like we're the branches, he's the vine. It's like, if you choose to stay connected so that literally you are drawing your life from my life. You're not seeking to separate yourself from me and try to find life other places. But if you stay connected to me, abide, remain in me, you are going to bear much fruit. Well, God, how much fruit? What does much look like? And I love this. We can trust him with that. We can trust him with the number. Because he knows how much fruit these little branches can bear before they start snapping off, right? You can have so much fruit that literally limbs start falling off. It's not good for the fruit, not good for you. Guess who knows how much fruit you can bear? Jesus does. And he loves us. Whew. So what kind of fruit is he looking for? I don't know. What might this fruit look like? He gives us two huge clues in a couple of other verses, in verse 8 and verse 16. So Jesus, in that same conversation about being the vine and we're the branches and the Father's the gardener, he says this, John 15:8, he says, this is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, proving yourselves to be my disciples, proving that you are ones who stay connected to me, that you are literally receiving your life from my life. And he says, if you do this, here is my promise. You will bear much fruit. And then in verse 16, he goes on, you did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you that you might go and bear fruit that will last. So he says two things here in this passage that give us these huge clues on the kind of fruit that he is anticipating can come from your life and mine. Number one, much fruit, right? Much fruit. And also that it will be fruit that lasts. It'll be enduring. There's something that needs to have the stamp of eternity on the kind of fruit that we are producing that's the kind of fruit that Jesus is looking for here. There's going to be lots of it, and it's going to be lasting. Everybody say, lots of fruit? Lots of fruit. Lasting fruit. Those are the two things that he is declaring. These are the kinds of fruit that I am anticipating in that 30, 60, 100-fold possibility in our stories. Lasting fruit. I think I could tell what would be like a lot of fruit, but what does this mean to be lasting? Listen, think about the fruit that the world pursues. The kind of fruit that the world pursues when they want to have lots of fruit is very often extraordinarily temporary. Like here today, gone tomorrow. Like money. Like, well, I'll know that I'm fruitful if I made more money this year than I made last year. And God's like, that may be a good personal goal, but that is not the kind of fruit that I'm looking for. That's so temporary. It's like money's here today, it's gone tomorrow. And you can't take it with you. There is no eternal stamp on your money except what you use it for me. You don't take any of that stuff with you. You think you need all the money for. Social media. People think they're fruitful if they get a lot of looks and likes, right? What I post, man, is everybody loving what I'm doing? So temporary. Man, even just a little switch in that algorithm. And those who are hot yesterday are not so hot tomorrow. So fleeting, so temporary. What about my looks? Man, do I look young for my age? I'm 62, but man, am I looking all right for 62? Come on, give me some love. Oh my gosh. Listen, you guys, listen. What does God's word say? That our lives are nothing but grass, like it rises up and then the summer sun hits us and we start to get brown and gray and wrinkly, and then we're gone. Any beauty that we think is like the fruit that we crave is so fleeting and temporary. Listen, keep looking good, but not the fruit that God is looking for. How about those who are like, listen, I am not going to become an addict, but man, I love that buzz that I get for those few hours when I'm spending it, man, just partying, or it's like, man, I get just that enough booze, or I am just buzzed for that few hours, or whatever your drug of choice is, right? And the world is like going after that. And I see people right up and down my street and the streets around us, man, they're got their 12-pack of Modelo, they're walking into something, and it's so temporary. Or pornography. Man, there's that rush that comes, right? The release of dopamine and all the stuff that just gets fired in our brains for that moment. We crave that which is temporary. And Jesus says, man, that is not the kind of fruit. The kind of fruit that I'm looking for has lasting value. Something of eternity. And another one that is, man, over these last couple of years has become so prevalent, and that's the buzz that we get from gambling. So many, man, can't even enjoy sports anymore or anything without putting a bet on it. It's like, oh man, but the rush. When I put that bet, I feel the rush of I feel like I'm actually on the field with my team. And there's a rush that comes from that. But listen, what do these things leave behind? Hangovers? Addictions? Debt? Not good stuff. When we chase after things that are temporary, our lives come crashing down. In fact, Jesus says, man, the people that are not fruitful in me, their lives are going to get cut off from me. They're going to wither, and then they're ready for the fire pit. And we see a world around us, and it's smelling kind of smoky. Man, I got invited to the Elks Cook Your Own for the first time on Friday night. I'm telling you, you get into that around that big pit, it smells good, it smells smoky. But there's a lot of dead wood in that fire to make it smell like that. But I like the way it made my steak taste, I'll tell you that. It was good. But I don't want to be that wood down there. I don't want to be that cut off, dead, dry wood that is ready for nothing more than the fire. I want to be fruitful in Jesus. I want to be fruitful in Him. And so when we think about these two things, I want you to have lots of fruit, and I want you to have lasting fruit. This is where I believe, this is I think a huge takeaway for us. And you can put it up on the screen. If I focus on bearing lasting fruit, God will ensure that I have lots of it.